Okay, I'm in.
I've hacked the system. Excellent. Now we're just waiting to see if Mike's got his mic.
Mike's got his mic.
Mr. Michael.
Mike Larry. Oh, like you there.
Good old, perhaps a good old quit and rejoin. Usually does the trick.
Is there much care needed for your bees this time of year, Alex?
No, well, so I moved them when we moved house that weekend.
Can you guys hear me?
Hey, there he is.
Yeah, we can
Yes,
hear you now.
hello.
Okay, I've had to take my headphones off because it just wasn't connecting or...
No worries, how odd. He's not fine now.
I've been able to hear you the whole way through, but I just...
Good thing we didn't say anything disparaging.
Yeah.
I can trust you guys, I'm sure.
Of course, as far as you can throw us. Adam, yeah, so we moved them into the back garden, and then they there's been a couple nice days recently, so they've been out and about. But otherwise, especially this time of year, if I'm feeding them and they eat like fondant, like solid sugar paste, as long as they're kept in food, they don't, they're not, there's no flowers, so they're not foraging for anything. And there's no honey production or anything, so they just hang out. And then come December, January, every so often, every few weeks, I might go and replace the food, and if they want it, they'll have it. And otherwise, they'll just ignore it. But the season won't pick up again until about March or April when the weather turns the other way, and then they'll start, the nectar flow starts, and then they'll start foraging again.
So
I thought they hibernated all winter. That's interesting.
Hibernate. They don't sleep. They're awake, but they just because if it's too cold, they don't leave the hive. They just hang out inside. And winter bees, there's so much science has been done, but winter bees are a different kind of bee. So most bees, only slightly, but summer and spring bees are leaner, and they have a lifespan of about 6 weeks because they work, they fly, they produce honey, they do all those things. Winter bees, because they don't do anything, they're not making any honey. Their only job is to survive the winter to make sure the colony has enough bees in it to stay warm. They're fattier, so they don't look chunkier, but there's more of them is composed of fat reserves, and they live for almost the entire winter, so several months instead of just 6 weeks, because they don't exhaust themselves to death through all the work that they do. And then eventually they'll die out as spring bees are then born and made and everything. So, they know what they're doing. They've been virtually unevolved for several million years, so they're pretty solid. But enough about bees. Let's talk about dungeons or dragons. And to that extent, or to that effect, I should say.
I'm going to change my character to a bee.
Oh, a giant living bee. Okay, yeah, no problem. Mm-hmm. Or just one honeybee.
Just one bee.
Oh, fine, no problem. You have 1 hit point. There was a rather interesting thing. I apparently, just learning. It's important to learn. Hit points as a concept were actually created for the First World War, or just after the First World War, in order to assess for war games, right? But actual militaristic war games, not ones that then came on the tabletop later, but when generals and admirals and everyone were trying to figure out, how many troops do I need to do, blah, 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 blah. And the original hit point was designed for battleships, not for people, or platoons of humans. They were designed for ships. And so the measure of a hit point was how many 14-inch shells the ship could take before it sunk. And so I was rather amused to find that in the original terms, every living creature has 1 hit point. Because that's as many 14-inch shells as you could probably take before you turn into salsa. Anyway, that's just a bit of gaming history for you. But now, let's do the recap. So Mike and Adam are the esteemed returning players this week. So if you wouldn't mind rolling a d20.
16.
Can you still hear me?
I still
Yes.
can.
Oh, great. Okay, I've got my headphones back on. So.
Might just turn you up actually a little quiet. There we go.
I got a 2.
Well, then I think we know who the winner is.
Can't remember whether is it the person with the lowest or the highest.
It is no, it's not
No,
golf.
it's-
It's Adam. He gets to go.
So,
Okay.
previously on Patame, we found ourselves being attacked by pirates on our airship. Theirs was much bigger than ours, so Dr. Glade rammed it. We jumped aboard, and we discovered that they had an elf captured called Thalan, who joined us in the fight against these pirates. He kind of released himself. No, was it Galaris sent his bird
The bird, yeah.
down into the below decks on their airship. After a bit of encouragement, Thalan managed to convince Bird to hand over the keys that were handily on the table outside the cell over to Thalan. He released himself, came up stairs and helped us fight the pirates. And it wasn't looking too good, actually. We had a few people down, and Dr. Glade managed to push the captain overboard, and with a good old "arr," managed to convince the weaker-minded pirates on board that he was now the new captain, and took ownership of the ship. We then proceeded, felt honour-bound, duty-bound, to return to the city and let Valaris's family know that he had sadly died. On the way there, we stashed the larger ship, because it was a pirate ship and would look conspicuous, so we stashed that in a hidden valley, and proceeded in our smaller ship with our 3 new pirates to the town, where we met up with Vishni, which I think was Valaris's nephew, who took us back to his family home, and we let him and his parents know that Valaris was dead. And Vishni ended up inheriting Valaris's shop, which he seemed quite pleased about, and almost instantly became quite the force of business negotiations. Acumen, yeah. And we ended up negotiating with him I was hoping to borrow his ship, but he is now charging us 10 gold a day, which I've assured him that the king would pay for. My friend Pukeface, I think I call him, don't I? Would pay that, so he's sending an invoice. I gave him the address. We flew over the forest, hoping where we first met Gluengale, hoping that we would find some sign that Gluengale would allow us to lower the airship down and return, give him the floating stone that we'd acquired from the giants. But no, so we had to land in the only village we knew and visit I've forgotten it. Horda, Gerda. Pardon?
Hoda.
Hoda. We had to visit Hoda, the washerwoman, who we delightfully found was naked at the time, having a bath.
No.
Yeah. And we ventured into the forest, and we managed to find Gluengale again. We handed over the floating stone very smugly, thinking I'd completed the mission, when in fact I'd forgotten to get a feather of the Morrow bird or the rock as requested, so we had to set sail once again in the airship. And there were 2 options. We could have returned to Notus in the hope that maybe we could find a feather in one of the museums or curio shops, or try and head into the mountains in the hope of finding a rock. We decided to head into the mountains in the hope of spotting a nest, and the very last I think, roll of the day, we did find a nest or a sign of a large nest on the very highest peak.
You spot on. Thank you, Adam. That was brilliant. So,
What an exciting session for all our support characters.
indeed. Sorry you missed it, but we'll have just as much fun today. So you, Adam has painted a beautiful picture. You've flown about the this mountain range in the east of Skennesaws called the Pinnacles, and you've been cruising around and you're sort of looking for the signs of any kind of giant bird. And you reckon, I think we found, I think what we said was that there was a portion of the mountain, this like canyon sort of riddled, but then leading up to a high peak style portion of the mountain that would be the most promising, and and telltale signs of maybe some animal carcasses and in large droppings, very, very large droppings, here and there, give you the indication that there might be a giant rock, a giant bird nearby. But knowing what you know about the rock, you've been very shrewd in how you've approached. Now, this is a bird with a wingspan. I think I sent all these pictures through. This is a bird with a wingspan of 200 feet. It's the size of a 747. So it's really, really big. And that means to it, you, little fleshy beings that you are not very interesting. A golden eagle does not hunt a shrew. It's not worth its time or energy. It goes for squirrels or foxes or whatever. Even some of them go for goats and things. And so the rock, this giant 200-foot wingspan bird, is not going to be particularly interested in hunting or eating you. And that's some small comfort. And if you are to approach it, you can generally know that unless you really piss it off, it's probably not going to take much interest in you. However, you do know that your airship presents a very large and attractive target, especially in Skennesaws, where airship traffic is targeted, and many places in Padme, where airships can be targeted by rocks, because some of these lovely giant floating wooden crates hold all kinds of horses and yaks and all manner of things inside them, goats and things that the rock can feast upon. So, shrewdly, you've landed your airship and you've tucked it away into a little canyon or a little cavern or something that's, it's hidden from sight, so that the rock, if it's prowling, can't see, and you've decided to make an approach on foot. You find yourself in this large valley, this large... I don't know what the word is for it, but this split in the mountain where it slopes up, it leads up, and there's a winding path towards the top where you make this nest to be, because rocks like to perch in very high areas. And you're in this sort of gully now, quite wide valley, this maybe an old glacier valley from an ice age gone by, which is mostly filled with a couple herds of yaks. Just wild yaks here and there. And as you're walking up this valley, sort of taking it all in, you can hear this great scraw, this mighty shriek, and the yaks all sort of look about and they're pawing at the ground, and they look quite panicked. And over the crest of the mountain, you can see this giant bird, and its wings unfurl as it blocks out the very sun. And the yaks are all going crazy, and it tucks its wings in to dive straight at, well, it looks like straight at you, given that you and this giant herd of food are all in the same spot. And the yaks begin to stampede, and they're heading for any kind of shelter, any kind of crag, and you're running along with them. And this giant bird with talons the size of a man, riddled on each feet, is approaching. What do you do?
And does it look like it's going to strike very close to us? You've found yourself in a rather unfortunate position. You are sort of running in the midst of this yak stampede, and it wouldn't target you, but it could, on accident, indiscriminately scoop you up along with its prey. So you're right in the line of fire.
I think it might be wise just to sort of throw ourselves to the ground.
Yeah, is there an overhang, a little cave any kind of boulder we could crawl under, any kind of
Make
protection?
a Dr. Glade. Make a perception check.
Okay. Oh dear. That is a natural one.
You see nothing. You looked up at the bird, and the sun got straight in your eyes, and now you've got all those little fuzzy purple blue spots in your eyes, and you're running and trying not to trip. The bird closes more of the distance, and it is now only 100 meters away.
We're exposed.
Presumably, we could all do a bit of a perception check.
Yes. So why doesn't Mike? Why don't you make a perception check?
18.
With an 18, Thalen is able to locate a small, like a gully in the rock that you could, like in a lightning storm, you could sort of throw yourselves into, and the stampede could pass overhead without crushing you, and then also you'd be out of the line of fire of this enormous bird.
I vote we head for that.
So Galaris watches Stalin and sees him notice the gully and starts to dodge between the yaks towards the gully.
Fantastic. Let's do this. You all, with the 18 perception check, I think I'm pretty happy for. You dive into this gully, and you get all dusty and dirty, and the yaks are sort of jumping overhead over this little gully as you rest underneath. You're safe from their crushing hooves, and you watch as this bird swoops down, and it passes right over you. And then you see it picks up a yak in each talon, or in each claw, I should say, each foot. And it begins to ascend back out from the valley, and you watch as it reaches its great beak down as it soars, and it swallows each screaming yak whole. And then it banks back as it gains altitude higher and higher, and it goes back up to the crest of the mountain where you saw it descend from to rest. And the stampede is now long dispersed and gone, and with the threat past, the yaks begin to graze and munch at the scraggy little bits of weeds and grass that might grow in between these rocks down in this mountain valley.
Is there any sign that anyone owns these yaks? Is there any bells on them, or?
No, these appear to this is just a herd of wild yaks. You would think. You sort of reckon, just by common sense, that a farmer would be very stupid to keep a herd of kept yaks in this particular valley.
Yeah. And is there? Go on.
Galaris climbs out of the gully and makes a few clicks at Ariam and says "scout" and then points. And Ariam trying to get her to go follow the rock and report back on its location.
Ooh, good idea.
Yep. The bird just departs, and we'll hopefully come back in a few minutes. So, in the meantime.
And is there any sign other than yak tracks of anyone else using this particular gully, canyon?
No, but you're also that's probably a bit of an overstatement. You're quite high up, I should say. You're you're really in a remote region of the mountains, so you wouldn't expect a main road or even a side road. But you might be able to do a survival check to see if you can find anything that you can track.
Okay.
Can we all do that? Like we're all searching for.
You can all do that, and by so doing, you can give Adam advantage on his survival roll.
Well, I think I might be better off giving someone else advantage.
Or you can give it to the ranger, who specializes in such things.
Yeah, Galaris is like looking around, sniffing the air, looking at the yaks, and then he got an 18.
An 18. With an 18, you can see towards the upper end. You're in this big valley that's gently sloping down away from the mountain peak and up towards the mountain peak, or rather the other way. the way you ran away from, you can see the makings of not quite a goat path. It's a little more well trodden than that, but you can see maybe like a yak path that gently sort of climbs. Cows are lazy, so they gently climbing up the mountain. And it looks decently wide, and you reckon you could probably get up it without much difficulty as you make your way higher and higher. Arium returns after a few minutes that you've been sort of sussing out the tracking, and reports to you. Can the bird speak? How does it work?
I can cast Speak with Animals, and that lasts 10 minutes. And from what I'm reading at the spell, it's general. It's not like on an animal. It's just like...
No, you sort of temporarily become Dr. Doolittle.
Yeah, so I think with Arium, usually we can kind of like sign language at each other so I can understand what she's saying. But in this case...
You're just gonna...
Arium lands on Galaris's... lands on a yak, and Galaris walks over and starts petting the yak, and gives it a hug. And
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's really nice. Thanks. Oh... No one's pet me like that in years.
Hello, Mr. Yak. Arium, what did you find out while you were scouting?
What kind of voice does Arium have?
Like Jessica Rabbit.
A what?
Like Jessica Rabbit.
Like Jessica Rabbit. Okay, that's a far
Kinda
cry
sultry.
from what I was going to do, which was a proper Bayou accent. Like Jessica Rabbit. Hang on, I got to put on my big tits.
Okay.
That's a big bird.
You found it. Okay.
Yes, it has a nest up at the top of the mountain.
I think we would have figured that out, but I appreciate your effort. I scratch under her beak.
That's nice.
Mr. Yak, that
Yeah?
path over there, is that your path? Your guys' path? Your family's path?
Yeah, we use that path. It's
Where do you
nice.
just go with it?
Up the mountain, different grazing,
Great.
Follow it. There's a canyon we can walk through. Sometimes that's a bit scary, but then on the other side, you can find some good grass, or you can go all the way up. Sometimes, if it's nice out, we'll go up the mountain.
What you said it's kind of scary up there.
No, in the canyon, sometimes it can be scary, just 'cause we're so exposed, and sometimes there's predators. But it's an easy path.
Okay. How far up the mountain does it go?
Oh, it'll go all the way up the mountain. If you want it to. I mean, we don't go to the summit usually. It's too tall for a yak. But you could find a way up. The yak path. Maybe you can find a goat and take you up there. Mountain goat. See, you've got a bird. Birds get up there real easy.
They do. Are there mountain goats around here?
Oh, no, they're higher. They're higher up.
Oh,
They like it where it's high. Yeah.
I imagine
you.
Dr. Glade's quite distressed by the noise that this yak's making at Galaris, because he won't hear any of this. He'll just hear grunts.
Galaris is making those noises back.
Yeah.
Better than the... Well, I wonder if Dr. Glade is reminded of the deer.
Yeah.
What are they saying? It sounds angry.
Galaris reaches into his bag and pulls out his mess kit and gets an apple out and feeds it to the yak, and turns to Dr. Glade. The yak path goes to the top of the mountain, and Arium said that the rock is nested up there. So there might be some goats. I would love to meet a goat before we get to the top. If only Hank was there. And then Galaris covers his heart. So I think we could take the yak path to the top.
Perfect.
Did they say the thing about whether there are any rock chips?
Ooh. The duration of my spell is 10 minutes, so I probably have a few more seconds with Is that how does that work? Is that 10 minutes game time or 10 minutes our time?
It's 10 minutes game time.
Okay.
It's quite a long conversation, that, isn't it? 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Could be, yeah.
Galaris turns back to Ariam and makes squawking noises to ask if the rock was alone or had anything in its nest.
I mean, I
Well, that's Ariam, sorry. Not the yak.
I didn't get a good look at it.
Ariam doesn't know, so I think we kind of got to chance it.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Glade will want, many wild animals become very aggressive if they have young. We should be very careful.
Great.
So I guess, paint a picture for us here, Alex. Is it a beautiful view? Is it like mountain pastures? Is the flowers?
It is. You're on this
bees
sort of
flying around.
You're on this sort of subalpine. The peak itself, I think I've got here. Hang on. I think it's only 14,000 feet or so. So it's certainly snow-capped, but you're further down. You're maybe only halfway up the mountain, and it's 16,000 feet. So you've got this sort of beautiful view. Now, you are on one of the tallest mountains around, so it's kind of funny because unlike most of Dr. Glade's life, you can see on the map, on the table, but also on the wall, that Notice is in this sort of river valley and flanked on both sides. On one side is the Worm's Tail, the Dragon Spine Mountains, and then on the other side are the Pinnacles. So these grand mountains have always sort of framed his horizon, that aren't, if it's not the sea, then it's these great mountains. And now that you're up on these mountains, you can see from where you are, you can see right the way down to where Notice would be. It's a little far away, but you can see the great river that runs through it and the giant delta. You can see out into the ocean, and as it expands, this sort of, you can just about start to see, you can actually, at that height, you can just about start to see the curvature of the world, to get a sense of how, of your place in it all. And you're sort of flanked on both sides by these gorgeous granite cliffs, this tall mountain range. And as the sun is, it's not setting yet, but it's coming into the later afternoon, and it's just illuminating these giant cliff faces on either side of you, like the tops of a cathedral, all lit up and beautiful, but the valley is sort of in a cooler area in shade, and you've got these herds of big shaggy yaks that are moaning and gruffing, and then stretched out in front of you is this beautiful alpine meadow. There's a little stream running through it, and these little flowers that you can see. Sort of everything's very small because at this altitude, it takes a lot of energy to grow at all. There's not a lot of rain, there's tons of sun, but it can be a hard life for anything up here. And so you see these sort of scrubs and these little flowers that are blooming, and it's very peaceful. I mean, aside from the giant fucking bird, it's very peaceful up here, and you sort of get a sense of you and your place in the world, and as so often happens when one is among the mountains, a real sense of scale for yourself, to see how small you are, and all of you are filled with a sense of wonder.
Sounds beautiful.
As Galaris is reflecting on the beautiful mountain view, he turns to Dr. Glade and I slept through our entire last, 4 days. What? I know you took the stone to Glewingale. What happened to the forest? And he just looks like excited, but curious at you.
What happened at the forest, did you say?
Yeah. He's curious. He's wondering because he knows that Glewingale wanted to, put the forest in the sky, and he loves the forest a lot.
What happens on tour stays on tour, I'm afraid. But I regale him of, how wondrous the forest was once again, the strange magical trees with peacock feathers for leaves and things, and just the importance of our mission. We cannot fail. We must return with this feather.
Gloomgale is excited and motivated. Or sorry, Galaris is excited and motivated.
Gloomgale's pumped.
He's doing press ups in the forest right now.
Do you guys want to ride yaks some of the way, or you just want to walk?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would imagine that the air's quite thin up here, so a city slip
Yeah,
like
it's 15. Let's see, 15. You're not quite at the peak yet, but you're probably at 12,000 feet. You know, I don't know if any of you have ever actually spent much time at that altitude.
I've been at 11,000 feet and I wasn't very
Yeah,
well.
you get a headache, that's for sure,
Yeah.
if you're not used to it, and a lot of extra exertion is quite difficult.
Well, yes, if you think you can convince them to give us a ride.
Galaris kind of gets up and walks to the yak he was friends with, and obviously they can't speak anymore because his spell is off. He tries to pat and mime riding him and points to the trail, and then attempts to climb on his back.
He sort of shakes his head and paws at the ground, and then lowers his hump so that you can climb aboard.
And Galaris beckons his friends over, and I think two of us could probably fit on a yak, and maybe another yak comes up. Helps us.
He sees your friends, and he goes, and he looks back, and another yak. Two more yaks. Everyone can have their own yak. Comes wandering out of the herd, and they join up with you.
Dr. Glade climbs on backwards by accident. He gets it all wrong.
And the yak just immediately starts going, so he does not have the opportunity to ride himself. But I wonder if he plays it off as on purpose so that he can continue to look at the beautiful view as you make your way up.
I'll guard the rear.
Yeah, and seeing their friends on the move, the herd begins to move with you, and you are leading this caravan of yaks as they ascend. I didn't mention, but it perhaps goes without saying that as you stashed the airship, Hollis, aged as she is, declared that all of the excitement had been a bit too much for her, and she would guard the ship and take the opportunity to rest. So that's why she's not with you. And so. You begin to ascend. You travel up and up and up, and then eventually, as you get higher and higher, and the air gets thinner and thinner, you arrive at sort of a natural hump in the land, and you can see down. You're at the crest of, not at the peak of the mountain, but at the one of its ridges. You've crested over one, and the yaks, the three that you're riding, stop. And the rest of the herd continues on, and they descend down the other side. But your yak, Gentry, knew that, of course, you wanted to go higher. So it stoops to let you off as it paws the ground, and it thrusts its head off the trail, just over to the left. And you can see that it's too narrow for a herd of yaks, but there is sort of a narrow trail that's winding further up the mountain where the yaks don't go.
Galaris shouts, "Goat trail!" and jumps off the yak and starts walking quickly towards it.
Brilliant. You you dismount and you begin to head up this goat trail, and you walk for a short time. It's very windy, and it's also a bit treacherous. There's sort of sheer cliffs on some sides at times, or you're pressed up against a cliff front, and there's only pure void on the other side, or there's this sort of scree that you have to scramble across, and it makes for ill footing. But eventually you find sort of a more winding section that seems solid, and all of a sudden, stepping from around a rock, you see, not a rock with a K, not the bird, you see a figure. A very tall figure. It's maybe 8 or 9 feet tall, and it has a hooded cloak. And from inside, you hear a voice, and you can sort of hear almost chittering. And then the voice says, "Halt, strangers!"
Of course. Who are you?
And you hear more sort of chitter, and you see sort of movement from inside the cloak that doesn't look quite natural. and you hear the voice say, "Why is not important. But you are trespassing on my mountain." And you see the arms of this cloak come up, except they're really short, and the cloak where the hole would normally go, it's only half an arm that's sort of waving about, so it's this sort of flappy bit of cloth.
Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I think any signs that you've put up to say you own this mountain must have blown away. I didn't see that at all. I must apologize.
Signs. Make a perception check, Dr. Glade.
Okay. Ooh, 19.
You see in the middle of the cloak, sort of at thigh level, you see the cloak opens a bit, and you see a little eye poke out and look around and then shut again. Be that as it may, you must not trespass on my mountain. You must pay the toll.
And I think I'll humour them for now. And
What may this toll be?
Oh, we haven't. I've never gotten this far. The toll. What should the toll be? He wants to know. And Gularis, make a perception check.
No. 23.
With a 23, you can see all these little goblins hidden in the rocks around the trail, sort of poking up, and then you hear a voice call back from one of the rocks. Do they have any food? Food! Food is good. Yes. Do you ignore them? Do you have any food?
Gularis looks at the flapping robe and steps in front of Dr. Glade and decries, "Nature belongs to no one," and then casts Gust at the goblins and robes.
Oh dear. All right. Well, in that case, one second. In that case, everybody's going to roll initiative.
ooh,
Adam?
21.
Oh.
Gentry?
1 second. One.
And Mike.
21.
21?
Yeah.
Bro. You can get the Gust in before your initiative order starts there, Gentry, so go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I wasn't really doing his attack, more just to try to push the robe off of him.
That's fine. Well, in that case, why don't we say that there's no, because it's a saving throw, isn't it?
Yes.
Fine. In that case, then, the robe is, let's see here. The robe is blown off. And in the place of the robe, you find 3 goblins all standing on each other's shoulders, and they've been cast out now. They've been sort of thrown apart, and their scheme is made plain. And they go, "They're onto us! Get them!" And first in the order is this little goblin right here. And he's going to run up and he's going to try and bash Dr. Glade in the knee. he's going to run over and he's going to try and hit him. And that's going to be a 12 to hit.
That is a miss.
He hits you in the knee, but it doesn't hurt. And he looks up, and you're 7 feet tall, and he's this little goblin man, and he's starting to reconsider his choices. Phelan is next.
Okay, so they're quite close, aren't
They did better than my 21.
Yeah, you both got 21.
Ah, right.
they? Quite close, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all relatively close. I mean, as far as Thalen's concerned, that's only 5, 10, 15 feet to the one that's attacking Dr. Glade, and then 20, 25, 30 feet to the other two that were part of the trench coat, and then everybody else is sort of sprinkled around.
Okay.
Alex, could you unlock the ruler for us?
Is it locked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
So I've got 2 weapons fighting.
Say that again, Mike.
Try now.
I've got 2 weapons fighting.
Yep.
So presumably, I've got a long sword and I can use a dagger.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to. Which one am I?
You're the one labeled Thalen.
I am Thalen. So I'm going to. Do I get? How do I measure the?
Oh, the line tool, or F4, will let you see, but each square is roughly 5 feet, right? So that's about 20.
Okay, so I'm going to
Rush over, yeah.
rush over. I'm gonna sort of be beside both goblins.
Yep. Here, I'll just. So you're not. There you go.
Okay, and I'm gonna whack goblin this one here. So the one to my right with my long sword.
Yep.
Am I doing a? So I get. How do I calculate it?
So that'll be your D20.
Yeah.
Depending on the apps, you might just do it for you, but it'll be D20 plus your proficiencies plus your strength modifier.
Oh. Proficiency being the.
So it's sort of near your armor class. If you're looking at like a traditional character sheet, it's sort of on the top left. It's level 4, I believe it's a +2.
I'm just trying to figure out where this is.
What where are your stats stored, Mike? Are they in an app or off like
It's
a
in
PDF?
here with the arms. So I've got a long sword. I've got a long sword +1. Because it's a magic weapon.
Yep.
And I've got proficiency. Yes. It says yes.
Cool. Is there next to the word it says longsword? Does it say plus something to hit? Sometimes they'll do the maths for you. It'll say like +6 to hit or whatever.
It's just got damage.
No, that's fine. So then, well, this just means we'll calculate it ourselves.
I did see somewhere on this before.
I'm looking at your character sheet, Mike, and you've got 2 long swords for some reason. One long sword and then a long sword +1.
I know, I'm not quite sure why. I've had it always from the beginning. On my character sheet, where am I going to get this sorry.
It says +3 to hit next to the longsword, or +4 to hit next to the longsword +1. I would say +1 weapons are quite rare, aren't they? They're usually like some treasure that you find somewhere along the way.
Whereabouts do you see that?
So I'm looking at your PDF version of your character sheet you sent me, and it's at the very bottom of page 1 on the right hand side, weapons, attacks and cantrips box.
Yeah, the one I've got printed off, it's got doesn't have got longer arm strikes, but I had the longbow. I was holding the longbow when I put this off. So I'm just trying to on D&D Beyond get where I should go to then see. Struggling. I mean, what? I've got a proficiency bonus of +2. But that's not the same thing, is it?
Your proficiency bonus of +2 is added to your D20 roll, along with your strength modifier, so +3, whatever it is. And then the +1 longsword has its own +1 as well. So D20 plus proficiency plus strength +1 is then your attack roll.
Sorry, so proficiency plus strength plus D20.
+1 for your extra magic longsword, whatever it is.
Okay, fine. So I've got.
So yeah, it should be +4 then. If you look, I've copied and pasted it into the chat in Discord from you. I've taken a snip from your, and it does say +4 for your longsword +1. So that does make sense, doesn't it? Proficiency.
Yeah, there you go. So that column there, longsword +1, then unarmed strike. Rather than sorting this out every time, next week if you happen to forget, that +3 +4 does it all for you. So D20 +4, job done.
D20 +4. Okay, so 12.
So 12. Actually, I don't even know the armor class. 1 second.
Yeah, and then Mike, we're comparing that to the goblin's armor class to see if you hit him.
So the goblins, this particular goblin that you're trying to strike, this one here, has a little shield, and he's got some little leather armor on his little goblin body. So you manage to hit him with the sword, but it doesn't do any damage because his armor is too tough. You just strike against it.
Fantastic. So I suppose my dagger's going to do a huge amount now.
Your dagger. I mean, if the D20 goes better, then you never know.
My dagger's going to have another go. So my second attack. So for the dagger that's going to be a +3, isn't it?
So the dagger's slightly different, and that's only because with two-weapon fighting, it's in your offhand, right? So your longsword gets the strength bonus because it's in your dominant hand, but the one that isn't doesn't get your strength bonus. So instead of being +3, if your strength is a +1, then we just do +2 for your proficiency.
Okay, so 14.
14. Unfortunately, 14 has the same result. You strike against its little shield, and with a thud, your dagger is rebuffed. Very sorry. Very sorry. Dr. Glade is next.
So, Dr. Glade he's going to start tutting. So, I take it from this attack, you're not interested in the feast I'm here to cook?
Feast? Wait! And the goblins, the ones that were about to strike Thalen, stop in mid swing, and somehow two of them have started fighting elsewhere, and they've stopped fighting too. And he gets really close and he looks up at you, and he says, "Feast?"
Oh yes. I'm. You mean you don't recognise me? I'm the world famous Chef Glade. I'm here to cook the rock. You didn't get the message. We're here to cook the rock.
Cook the big bird?
Oh yes. You do. I mean, how many mouths have we got to feed here? Will that suffice? I suppose I could cook a few yak if that's not enough.
No, the bird is enough. The bird's enough. Boys. He turns around and he runs away. Boys. He's here to cook the big bird. Cook the big bird. Cook it, and we shall eat. And cook it, and we shall eat it. Yes.
Oh yes. I mean, I suppose it would last a day or two, perhaps. It seems to be a hungry crew.
Oh yes, only a day or so. We are. Oh dear. But I suppose that it will do. Stay right there. Stay right there. And he runs off. And a minute passes or so, and you hear some sort of the other goblins are kind of like looking excited, and they look at Thalen. One of them looks at his shield. It's got a big gash in it now, and he looks quite put out. And then the other goblin comes running back. Okay. I talked to the big head goblin, and he says that you can come through and start getting ready to cook for us. So follow me.
Okay.
He doesn't run off. He starts to walk down, and as you follow him through, the other goblins all start to come with, and they all begin to move. Then you hear feast, feast, feast. They all begin to chant feast, 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 feast.
I look back at Galaris and shrug my shoulders.
Feast. And,
Goliath looks bewildered because he's a vegetarian and really likes the yaks and is excited to eat the rock.
So he just waits where he is.
This is a cool map, by the way, Alex.
Oh, thanks. You're led to like a little cave, and you enter into this cave, and one of the goblins, he turns to you and he says, "Okay, turn around, no peeking."
And I feign covering my eyes and turn around.
And you hear a great sliding sound. You turn around again, and there's a big boulder that's been moved aside, and now there's a passage.
Wow.
Okay, you come on now. And he leads you into these tunnels, but these tunnels have been built for goblins who are they're not very tall, and you're very tall, so you're sort of stooped over as you're navigating, and it smells just awful.
It's a good job I've got my
And the
plague mask
walls
on.
are sort of moist. You're not sure why. And he leads you through this warren, this nest of different sort of little that's what I want, alcoves and rooms that are hewn from the living rock. And you reach the like an audience chamber, and there's a goblin who looks exactly the same as all the other goblins there, except that he's got a rather fancy hat. And he says, Snogmund, why have you brought me these tall ones? Well, great chief. Oh, the chief. I've brought Chef Glade.
And Chef Glade does a very dramatic bow, although he's probably quite bow. Or has the cave opened up in this section, or are we still steeped over?
It's slightly taller. It's still, you still kind of have to tilt your head a bit, but
Okay.
it's almost tall enough.
So I kind of roll my hand in front of me like they do in the theatre and bow to the chief. Thank you for the warm welcome, your Majesty. Is this where the feast will take place?
Feast? Frogmund, what is this he says about a feast?
Yes, my he said that he will cook the big bird for us, the big bird. And his little eyes light up, the chief's eyes, and he says,
Cook the big bird? Oh my, this is a day, a most auspicious day.
No, Chef Glade, we shall have a grand feast, and we shall have it in the feasting hall, in celebration, a celebration that has not been seen to this goblin clan in generations. How many generations have passed? Was it chief advisor? And the chief advisor's sitting there, and he's a goblin, and he just has like a pair of broken glasses, and he says,
It was 10 generations ago, my liege. It was last month on the 17th. Yes, many generations have passed since we have feasted so heartily. You shall be our honored guests. Now, go and prepare this feast for us, and we shall lay the table.
Yes, and we would require a large fire, and your largest pot.
Biggest pot.
Or something to spit roast it.
Yes, the big bird. It's a very big bird. Very big
It's
indeed.
quite the challenge, but I know that's why I came. I knew you would be up for it. I've traveled the globe looking for the right location, found the right location, but I thought, no, I'll never find anyone capable of helping me cook this giant bird. But then I heard rumors of a goblin king, rumors of a magnificent goblin king, who they said could do anything.
Who is he? I've never heard of him.
No, I'm talking about you.
Oh, it's me. Yes, of course it's me. Who else would you be talking about? Perhaps we can use the ritual bathing pits as our pot. They are, we only take one bath a year, but we all do it at once to get it over with.
Yes, broiled rock. You genius, yes, that will be delicious.
Yes, and the vizier says,
Yes, Your Majesty, you're very clever, very clever. Oh, yes, I know. Enough of this. Now we shall prepare the bathing pits. We shall have them scraped. They could do with the scraping, and you shall bring us back the carcass of this great bird, and we shall feast. A feast that has not been seen since the 17th of last month.
I may need the assistance of some of your goblins to help carry it back. Once I've killed it, of course, I will return and we may just...
Galaris walks up and smacks Dr. Glade on the shoulder. Look.
Yes,
Alex,
this is my shoe set. What do you call them? What's the
Sous chef?
assistance? Yeah, shoe set.
Sous chef, yeah.
Yes, the shoe chef. We do eat shoes quite a bit, actually. We're very familiar with high cuisine, can't you tell?
Then Galaris retorts to Dr. Glade, and ethical advisor.
I don't know what that is. It doesn't sound very tasty. Does it have carrots in it?
Yes, carrots are delicious.
We don't get many carrots up here in the mountains.
Galaris looks around the cave and asks, do you all live in here, or is this your city, or does it go through the mountain?
Oh, yes, we all live in here. What, do you think I'm just sitting in a cave for fun?
Well, I must
You're
admit,
goblin.
I've become terribly disorientated. What would be the best way to head towards the rock? What's the quickest route straight to the rock?
Snogmunch! Snogmunch, take this, tall one! Tall one! Take the tall one, and back to where you found him, and make sure he sees his way to the big bird. Yes, of course, Your Majesty. I should do it immediately.
and Snogmunch, your little goblin friend that you made the deal with, begins to go and sort of beckons.
This way!
Yes, we'll follow Snogmunch.
Snogmunch leads you back out of the goblin's warren and back to the mountain pass where you sort of went through this little cave and back out that hidden boulder, and you're back on the path. And he says, "Okay, you sort of back where you met on this little map that you can see."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, okay, you keep going the way you were going, little down through the canyon, just up there, and then keep going, and you'll find the big bird. Hard to miss. It's really big. And then you kill it for Snogmunch and the king, I suppose. And then come back and tell us, and I'll get all the boys, and we'll bring it down. We'll bring it. We'll.
And he looks at the hole that you just came through, and he shouts down, and he goes, "We're gonna make the hole bigger!" And he runs back in, and you're back on the path.
Shit.
So we're alone now.
Yeah, you're alone now.
Sorry, boys.
I admire your deception, Dr. Glade. We got the right information, and now we can kill these murderers and save the forest and protect the yaks and rock, right?
Well, they seem fun little chaps. It's almost it's like when I was in the Boy Scouts. You know, just a jolly old good parade of green little fellas. They are harmless enough.
Are you actually suggesting that we kill the rock?
Oh no, not at all. No, but we may need to pretend we have, or something like that. We'll see how this goes. I'm flying by the seat of my pants here.
What, Dr. Glade? Improving?
never.
Galaris looks at the cave and like investigates the like mountainside it's in, and pulls out his lightning javelin, kind of tosses it back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I could drop them in there, and looks to Dr. Glade and looks to Fallon. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? To trap them in there with a rock slide.
They seem quite the gullible folk. We may need their assistance again. Let's not anger them any more than we need to. I suspect they have many ways of getting out of here other than this entrance.
True. And then Galaris puts his javelin back on his back.
This will be the only way down. We don't. What's our plan if we get there? What's our plan, Dr. Blade?
Well, I suppose we could pretend we've killed the bird, ask the goblins to come up and hope the rock kills them.
And Galaris claps his hands.
Or are we escaping the chaos?
All right, I think we can handle that.
I think I prefer that idea to massacring the little fellows.
I don't know. They own nature. My sword hand twitches. But Galaris is satisfied and kind of looks
It's a
towards
shame.
where the
It's a shame we're
was
too
it?
high up. Yeah.
Trob munch, garbage munch. It's not munch.
Could we get your bird, Galaris, to start looking for alternative ways off the mountain that doesn't bring us past this entrance to the goblins' domain? If it can scout for us.
And Galaris nods towards Ariam, and Ariam takes off, or looks at Dr. Glade and nods and takes off.
So I guess we'll proceed up the way that the Snogmunch pointed out to us.
Your little detour. You continue on this path that you've begun down. You make your way off screen, and your little detours cost you some time, however, and you make it a little further up the mountain, and you arrive at this sort of canyon land. You descend into this gully, into this canyon, just as the sun is beginning to set, and in the distance you can hear a voice, and it says, "Help! Help me! Help me, please!"
I've got dark vision, so I can.
You've got the what?
I can have. I've got dark vision.
Yeah.
I can see. I can see up to 60 feet. I don't know how far away would it be from
You take in the scene in front of you, and you can see that you can sort of hear this voice. It echoes off the canyon walls. Help me! And you're looking around, even with your dark vision. It's not quite dark yet. It's it's just dusk. But even with your dark vision, you're not really able to see the source of the sound.
Shall we, let's proceed as quietly as we can. Shall we sneak ahead? Try to... It may be a trap.
Yeah, I think sneaking is the best option.
Would you like us to roll for that, Alec?
Yes, everybody please make a stealth check. Sorry, I was just having some water.
Ugh.
Those goblin voices really take it out of me.
Not the Jessica Rabbit one. 12.
No, that one's a lot easier on my vocal cords. Maybe I should have had them all be Jessica Rabbit.
Galaris got a 3.
A 3?
Galaris, like, his die are first.
This is
Clearly.
This is the stealth check.
Yeah.
Stealth check, that's right.
Okay, I got 21.
That's a bit better, isn't it? Dr. Glade?
12.
Where did Thalen go? Look at that.
I say it too loud.
Thalen?
Thalen, you make it decently far into the interior of the canyon. And fall over. You make it decently far into the interior of the canyon unseen. Dr. Glade takes a slightly different route and is semi-successful. Galaris immediately trips over a rock as he started to head down the canyon, eats shit, swears loudly in Elvish, and attracts the attention of Flapping, a giant griffin who perches on top of one of these pillars of stone, and it looks ready to make an attack upon you. Right before we do that, however, Thalen, you can just see from the griffin's point of origin was this man, and he looks injured, and he's got a spear, and he's thrusting his spear half-heartedly. Well, he's thrusting it with everything he's got, but he doesn't seem to have much left, is maybe a better way of putting that. He's very emphatic about it. At another griffin who's harassing him, he's sort of pressed up against a corner, and it doesn't look like he can move, and he's the one you can see he's screaming. Everybody roll initiative.
Ooh, 11 for Dr. Glade.
8.
19.
Sorry, 19?
19, yeah.
Excellent, thank you. And that's Griffin 1. This is Griffin 2. Cool. First in the order is Griffin number 1. Griffin number 1 is going to dive down and slash at Galaris. Hang on. How am I going to do this? It's flying, so I'll have to do it like this. Oops, not like that, not like that, like that, like this. There we go. And so, Galaris, it's going to swipe at you with its claws for a 12. I assume that's not a hit.
That's a attack roll, yeah. It fails.
But it pecks at you with its great beak for 15.
That hits.
That hits, right. And it draws blood as it hits you for 11 points of damage. And it... right, come back to that. Thalen is next.
Okay. I've got well, I say I've got is it something that's I should be trying to consider as it
Is what?
instead of attacking, trying to calm the griffin that's hassling this unknown person.
Yeah, it's completely up to you. You have the 3 standard actions on your initiative, right? Your movement, which you can use as you please. Your full action, which is often but not always an attack, and your bonus action, which is a specific mechanic thing. But you can also have what's called a free action. And speaking, for example, calling out and asking something or whatever is a free action. If you wanted, before you make any decisions on what you want to actually do with your turn, you could just, say something, call out and ask a question. Or whatever you want.
Okay. So I'm gonna in my best Griffin obedience voice, shout out, "Hey there, calm down, oh boy," and try and soothe this Griffin down.
So you can there is actually a mechanic for this that we could use as your action instead of an attack if you wanted to, like, instead of just saying it, we can attempt to soothe it, and that's called an animal handling check, which should be one of your skills. And if it's not, I can find out what you need to roll, but it should
It
be
is one of my skills. Yeah.
Excellent.
One of my skills.
So whatever the plus next to it is, go ahead and just a d20 plus whatever that is. See how well you do.
9.
You succeed in a sense because you did it so badly. It now is taken interest in you instead of in this man. But it looks just as pissed as it was before.
Great.
Dr. Glade.
Okay.
Oh, I was on mute. Dr. Glade. I think Dr. Glade will come up behind. Is the griffin in the air? Or is
Yeah,
that
it's flying.
Oh. I think instead Dr. Glade he'll bang his weapons together. He will holler at the griffin and make as much noise as he can, hopefully echoing loudly off these cannon walls. And then I think I will use my feline ability. I can double my speed until the end of the turn, so I'm going to... What is my speed? 30, so it would become 60 feet. I think I would like to try... No, that'd be metagaming, I don't know. I was going to squeeze between this little valley here, but I wouldn't know that would lead me round to the other side, so I will run over to Phelan. How many feet is that? So that's 20 to there, and then perhaps on seeing this person in distress, I will move to their side
Real.
to aid them.
Fantastic. Is that dash?
No, that's feline agility, so that doubles my speed.
Oh,
but
every so often you can do it.
Yeah. So once I've used that, in fact, I guess I'll bring myself. I'll try and attack this griffin. I'll do. Can't do a sneak attack, so I'll just do a normal scalpel attack, I think.
Very good.
24.
24 is absolutely a hit.
Doing 8 piercing damage.
8 damage to Griffin number 2. Thank you. Oops. Oops. Okay. Thank you very much. Galaris is next.
Look. Can Galaris see Fallon right now?
No. Oh. My server just crashed. Apologies.
Okay.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah, everyone's favorite.
Galaris. Let me get logged back in.
Do, 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 do.
Ding, 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 ding.
Okay, it's all set back up for you now.
Can you describe bonus actions one more time for? I guess what do I know is within bonus actions?
Sure. So, I mean, a lot of bonus actions are mechanically given to you, right? It will say, you can do blah, blah, blah as a bonus action. So you can take a bonus action. I mean, the rules say you can take a bonus action when you're told you can, right? So,
Okay.
a rogue has a cunning act, for example, can have a cunning action feature, which allows the rogue to take a bonus action, which is, to dash or disengage or whatever. And you can take a bonus action only when a feature of the game says that you can do something as a bonus action. You don't just automatically. You have to be given a reason to do it. Otherwise,
Gotcha.
I suppose technically you would get one, but you would have nothing to do, if that makes sense.
Yep. So I need to wait until there's an opportunity for a bonus action, or I can take my ranger bonus action when.
If you have a ranger bonus action, you can use your bonus action as many times as it tells you. So if it says it's a limited, once per long rest, you can do blah, blah, blah as a bonus action, then it has time limit. But the cunning action for a rogue, for example, happens every turn. Every turn you get a bonus action, and every turn you get to use your skill.
That makes sense. Sorry, I'm trying to plan my move and get logged back in. In that case, Galaris is going to. Galaris is going to cast Mage Hand to push the beak, grab the griffin by the beak and kind of push its face away, and then I got successful.
So you're using Mage Hand to push its face away. To what end?
To try to distance away from it.
Okay. So what it'll allow you to do is, you can use your action to disengage, which means you can move away from it without incurring an attack of opportunity as you leave its range.
Okay.
And we could flavor that as you using Mage Hand if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm cool with
Great. So with that, you get your normal 30 feet of movement that you to take as you please.
Okay. I'm gonna follow. Okay. And a turn.
Cool. Thanks very much. Next is Griffin number 2. Now, Griffin number 2 is a bit torn because it hates Thalen for disparaging it with his terrible animal calls, but then also it's just been stabbed by Dr. Glade. So I think it's going to focus its attention on Dr. Glade, and it's going to try and swipe at him with its claws for a 15 to hit. Is that successful?
Let me take a look. Oh, it is.
I'm sorry to say. The claws rake across your fleshy feline body for 9 points of damage. And then as with... Sorry?
I'm just checking. I've got uncanny dodge. When an attack that you can see hits you...
You can use your
reaction to half the
reduce-
attack's damage.
Exactly. And that works as a reaction, I believe, once per round of combat.
Right, okay.
I think that's how it works. Let me just have a little look.
Uncanny dodge, it's called.
Per round, that's right. So you can have that damage, so from 9 to 4, and then it will still peck at you with its beak for 18 to hit, which I now know hits you.
Yeah.
And so it will do an additional 10 points of damage.
And does that get halved as well?
No, because you've used
yeah.
up the reaction. You've spent it on the claws at the beginning of the next round. So this is the end of the conveniently. This is the end of the round. So at the beginning.
Oh, I've lost you. Is that me or you? Mike? Gentry?
Has noticed that his quarry has left him, and so he's going to turn around and fly up, and go for our friend Gularis again. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Gentry, do we still have you? I saw you said that you were having trouble connecting.
Yeah, I'm back in. And so, if I understood correctly, Griffin 2
Followed you.
disengage from... Okay.
Griffin 1. Griffin 2 is the one that's hanging out with Dr. Glade. Griffin 1 followed you. It's going to have a go at you there. 16 to hit. It rakes its talons down your back as you run for 11 points of damage. Does an 11 to hit?
No.
Fine. It misses you.
Because are you doing the multi-attack?
Yeah, it has 2 attacks.
Okay, I'm passed out anyways.
Oh, well, there you go.
Got
It goes to go for you with its beak, but you faint and collapse on the ground, and so it misses miserably. And that is that. Phelan is next.
Okay, well, I've seen that both of them are attacking Simon. Passed out on the floor. So I'm going to head over to the Griffin.
Yep.
Do a long sword and then a dagger attack.
Very good.
So I've got a 23 with the long sword.
That is definitely a hit.
And then I'm doing is it one. I've got three d10s, is that right?
Probably not for a long sword. Let's have a look at. Hang on. No, it's 1d8 plus 2 slashing.
1d8, okay. 10.
Well done. Max damage. So, that's Griffin number 1. And you've got your other one, right? Your dagger.
I've got my dagger, so that's. I just get a +2, don't I?
Very good.
So that's 15.
15. 15 is a... Checking. 15 is a hit.
Okay, and with the dagger, well, the D8 is 6, just what the plus is on the dagger.
D8, that one is, I don't have that on the little thingy that Adam took a screenshot of, but a dagger is, I believe, 1d6. Let me just check.
Was it a D6?
Let me just check. Dagger, 5th edition, 1d4, not even 6. So it's 1d4 plus your proficiency, which I think is 2.
2, yeah. So 4.
4. So in that case, another 4 damage, and very good. Dr. Glade is next.
Alex, when I was passing by this little, so there's a really thin gap between these two rocks. Would Dr. Glade is considering, would this prevent ingress from one of these griffins? Is it thin enough for me to?
Yeah, you would know that the griffin is, it's too big. It would need to go over around you. You could wedge your body in there and be safe from its attack.
Okay, so Dr. Glade is going to use his bonus action of what's it called? His cunning action to disengage, and he's going to tell this fellow, "Follow me!" Oh. And I'm going to. Well, actually, no. I think what I'll do first is I might as well hit the griffin. So I'll hit
and then
it,
disengage.
with my scalpel, and then. So that's a 13.
A 13 is a hit.
Doing 7 piercing,
Brill.
and then I'll say, "Follow me," and I'm going to go.
Gonna go hide over there.
Hide in there. And,
Brill.
I'm gonna. You can't put away and get a different weapon out at the same time. Can you put a weapon away in preparation for getting another weapon out next turn? I've forgotten how that works.
I don't really pay that much attention, but you can interact with one object or feature of the environment for free during either your move or action, drawing or sheathing a sword. So at the end of this turn, you can sheath your scalpel, and
Yep.
at the beginning of the next turn, you can draw your whatever.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'll sheath my scalpel.
As you've dashed into this little canyon, the griffin turns to give chase, but you can hear the man cry, "Oh, I can't! My leg's broken!"
I missed that, didn't I?
It's okay. You're not a doctor, it's fine.
Well, actually, I am.
Oh dear. Galaris is next.
Terribly
So Galaris-
embarrassed.
You're unconscious, are you not?
I see the bone sticking out in the leg now, yes.
I am, so I should do a rolling
That's right.
save throw, right?
Death saving throw, please.
15.
Yeah, that's a pass. No worries. We will come back to you. Griffin number 2 is going to give chase to Dr. Glade, and it's that scene in the movies where the monster is pinned against the too small opening, and it's scratching and snapping its beak, but it can't quite reach. That's what's happening with this griffin right now. It's unable to get to you in this little narrow path that you've wedged your thin tabaxi body into. And so it spends its attack. It's trying to get at you, and then eventually it gives up, and eventually it gives up, and it goes and flies up here to reassess the situation.
I'd bring it back. I've just, with the good thing about Tabletop Simulator, I'm right by Dr. Glade's face, and I was looking down.
Oh, sorry. You want me to do it so that you can take a picture?
Yeah, terrifying.
Brill. Yeah, oh, look at that. Right, so... put him back up there where he belongs. Right. So, in that case, the next person to go is Griffin number 1. Now, Griffin number 1 is in a death match with Thalen, and it is going to try and strike you with its claws. And it gets a 26. I assume that's a hit.
Yeah.
Funny that, isn't it? That's 8 points of damage. And as it grabs onto you with its claws, it tries to get you for a 12.
Which is a miss.
Fine. It rakes you with its claws then, and you take that 8 points of damage as it scratches you on the arm quite severely. And you are next. You can give it your rebuttal.
I think we'll go for the same again. Yeah. So,
Why fix what ain't broken?
exactly. So I get a 12.
12 is a hit.
12's a hit. Okay. So D8 2. A 8.
8 points of damage. Very good. There we go. And Dr. Glade is next. Oh wait, no, you have another attack, don't you, Mike? Yeah, go for it.
Going.
All right.
It's still going.
We're mid-strike.
I get a 6.
Very good. That's well, it's actually not very good, but it
No.
is. I'm sorry to say. And yeah, Mike. Sorry, did I cut you off?
I was just going to say my electronic is not my double hand. Yeah. It's like almost out of my hand as I'm thrusting it towards the.
Nearly. You're still getting used to it, you know. Dr. Glade, you're still wedged inside this crevice. What do you do?
So Dr. Glade is going to get his short bow out, and I presume if I oh, why can't I grab Dr. Glade? What am I doing wrong? Just come this way a little, and I can, because this griffin's
Yeah, you can do
engaged
a
with
sneak
Thalen,
attack
I'm going
because
to do a
he's
sneak
engaged.
attack
Absolutely.
with my bow. 24, doing 4 sneak, 8 piercing, so 12 in total.
Brill.
And then I'll maybe shout something to try and catch its attention, and if it looks round at me, I'm going to sneak back into my little hidey hole. And that's
You see it sort of thrust its head over, but it's aware of the danger that Thalen poses, so it's not lured into fleeing.
okay.
Gularis is next.
An 11, which is
Yeah, success. Only one more needed. Next is Griffin number 2. Griffin number 2 is going to jump down and start harassing this man again. Oh no, help me! And it's going to do some attacks, and the man is trying to fend it off with a spear. Griffin number 1 is going to go for our friend Thalen, and he's going to go for an automatic miss. Now that means that he's going to have to suffer some kind of penalty for his sins. One moment, please. Let's see how the tables may turn in Thalen's
I
favor.
mean, he's not so talented.
Let's see. I'm gonna steal. I don't need to because there's only 3 of us, so I can use this one. And that is D10. $28. So with a 28. This is quite good. With a 28, the Griffin exposes its weakness to you, Thalen. And both you and Dr. Glade, because he's within 30 feet, and Oh, yeah, and Gularis, even though he's unconscious, he can use it if he wakes back up again. Everybody gets a D6 inspiration die to use during this encounter only. So the way that this works is it's a bit like bardic inspiration. We don't have a bard in this particular thingy, but basically the way it works is this. So, before the end of this encounter, before the griffins run away or are killed or whatever, you can roll this d6 and add the number to any ability check, any attack roll, or any saving throw that you make. You can wait until after you've done your roll, your d20 roll, before deciding whether or not you want to use it. But you need to decide before I tell you, whether or not it's a success. So if you get a 2, it might not be so useful. But if you get a 12, don't wait and then until I say. You have to use it before that. And then once you've rolled it, it's you've done it, right? So that's how it works. So everybody gets one of those, having seen, even Gularis somehow, subconsciously understanding the machinations of the griffin, having a fever dream about its weaknesses or whatever it is, as it shows you its tactical flaws. And without further ado, Thalen is next.
So Thalen's going to carry on going. And gets a okay, a 15. That's with my D6.
Yeah, it's still a hit though. You used it wisely. That definitely wouldn't have been, but depending on what you rolled. But it is a hit.
Yeah, I got a 4 on the D6. So.
Oh, then yeah, as I say, very wise.
And I get 6 points of damage.
6 points of damage. Very good. Thank you. With 6. You have another, don't you? Another attack.
And the dagger's going for still pretty. Okay. I need to find my columns down. 5.
5 is unsuccessful, I'm afraid. Perhaps without surprise. Yep. So thank you very much. Dr. Glade is next.
I think Dr. Glade will rinse and repeat. So he'll come around the corner, sneak attack bow at that griffin. 17. Doing 11 sneak damage, 10 piercing, so 21 damage in total.
21 damage in total.
Yep.
What
11
was your attack
piercing.
roll?
Pardon?
What was your attack roll?
So the short bow does 1d6 plus 4.
No. The attack roll. Against
17.
Oh, yeah, fine. I missed it. Yeah, 21. With a 21, your short bow, you send an arrow sailing home, and it gets it right at the base of the neck, and the griffin expires.
Oh, well, on seeing that, I will rush forward and let me just check if this is a bonus action. My healer's kit. Oh, no, it's an action. So I'll have to wait until next turn. But I'll ready myself next to Gularis to save him.
Your presence alone is comforting, I'm sure. Gularis is next.
Stay with me, Gularis. Don't go to the light.
Success.
So you are still unconscious, but you're no longer actively dying. It's nice. Sit tight, and you might get a little health next turn, which is good news. Thalen is next. Now that the griffin's out of the way.
Isn't Griffin 2 having?
Griffin 2 is still harassing this blow.
Griffin 2 is still harassing, okay. But not actually damaging. Not actually
he's damaging it. I'm just doing it off the table.
Oh, okay, fine.
I'm tracking hit points for both, conveniently.
Okay. So
the guy looks bad. He looks like he doesn't have much left in him.
Phelan's going to head over
What a guy.
engage the griffin. So take the heat off the other guy.
Nice.
Not quite sure who he is, but you know, griffins are clearly bad. This guy might be good. So two attacks.
Yeah, go on.
The first one is a 6. So that's
6 is unsuccessful.
Second one, a 14.
14. 14 is successful.
Okay. Now I've found the dagger. It says D4 plus 3
Yeah, good.
on mine. So I've got 7.
7 to points of damage, yes?
Yeah, 7 points of damage.
Fantastic, 7. And was that the first attack or the second attack?
That was the first. That was the second attack. The first attack.
What? Oh, it's like a 6.
Okay.
Yeah, fine. I remember.
Yeah.
Dr. Glade is next.
Oh, me again. So I will use my action and use one of my heals from my medical kit. So Galaris, you can do 1d6 plus 4 hit points plus additional hit points equal to the creature's maximum number of hit dice.
So plus your level.
Say that one more time.
So roll a d6, add 4, and then
Yeah.
add whatever your level is, and that's how much health you get back.
Okay.
And then Dr. Glade will... he is going to go back round through here and wait for his next turn.
Very good. Thank you very much. Galaris, you're back up on your feet. You were busy running away, so you didn't quite see the thing that felled you, but you do wake up to Dr. Glade's beakish face, and he as he's patching you up, and then he says, "Got to go," and dashes off, and you're left back on your own now, next to this deceased griffin. What do you do?
I love nothing more than waking up to 2 beaked faces because I love birds. So, Galaris is going to. So there's one. I can't see D20 or the tabletop anymore, so that's what I'm asking. But the other griffin is still alive and
Correct.
attacking Thalon and the broken leg dude.
Correct.
Can I see them from where I'm?
I mean, you could move about 10 feet and you would see them.
Okay.
Adam has helpfully moved you those 10 feet.
I'm going to move 10 feet. And draw my javelin and lightning and throw it at the griffin.
Beautiful. Pew!
25 to hit.
That's a hit. A dirty 25.
And then the damage was 3.
Wow. Yeah, you clip it in the wing, and it shrieks in pain, but you didn't score a kill shot, I should say.
Looks good.
Oh, hold on. And then I get to roll one more dice for the lightning damage.
This might make a little more.
Yeah,
Put a little more
let me get
oomph in
my.
it.
So if it says 4d6, that means I'm going to roll 4 6-sided dice.
Correct.
Okay. Just make sure I get this all correct. 4d6. Okay. 16.
16 with 16.
Lightning
So,
damage.
Yep. You shock this creature, and it is sufficiently frightened and bloodied now from its battle, it decides it's just not worth it, so it's going to take its action. It's going to fly away. You've won.
I guess Dr. Glade will go over to this and ask their permission to. May I assist you? I'm a doctor.
Oh, yes, please, quick.
And I'll use one of my healing.
Yeah, you stabilize him. You don't need to roll for
Splint
anything or
his
whatever.
leg and things like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I thought I was done for.
This is an incredibly dangerous area. What are you doing up here?
I was searching for a lost hoard of treasure.
Oh my, that sounds incredibly exciting, but well, how did you get on? You don't seem to be carrying much treasure.
I discovered the lost treasure here, and he pulls a small treasure chest from a pouch, and he says, "But I took a tumble while I was on my way. I was up at the top of this canyon, and I rolled all the way down here and broke my leg. And I've been here for 3 days, and then the griffins found me, and I would have been dead if it wasn't for you. I can't thank you enough. You must have this treasure as thanks for your saving me."
And do you perceive that he's? Do I get the impression he's telling the truth?
Yeah, make an insight check.
Sounds too good to be true. 18.
18. You don't see. I mean, you have no reason to think he's lying, right? You look him up and down. Obviously, he's been here a while, and he does have a broken leg, and a box full of treasure. He seems to be kitted out. He seems an amateur sort of type. You don't get a bad vibe off of him. He just seems like a bit of an idiot to have come up into the mountains unprepared and tried to find some treasure, and then gotten himself in a situation where he would have died if it wasn't for you.
So you say you found the treasure? Is this all of it, or was there more?
No, this is all that I could find in a small cave. There was a skeleton. So clearly, someone hiding out, protecting this treasure. I'd heard rumors in town that a few years ago, some bandits hid up in the mountains with some stolen goods from one of the king's wagon trains. You know, they raided it and stole it and took it up here. And I was just looking for something to fill the time, really. And I thought it would be good fun. And it was until I fell down here.
I slowly twist the tourniquet a little tighter and say, "Now listen here. If I discover you're lying to me, and there is more treasure to be found, I can open a vein instead of stitch one closed. You know."
Please, I'm very weak. I have no reason to lie. You've healed me. You've saved my life. Why would I deceive you?
Just doesn't sound the exciting treasure hoard you were hoping for, did it?
It's more money than I've seen in my whole life.
I guess I need to take a closer look then. So what do we have here in this?
You take the chest from him and you open it up and you inspect it, and it's a modest sum. I'll put the details. I'll read it, but I'll also put the details in the result just so you have them written down. You find a couple thousand copper pieces, so maybe 20 gold pieces worth of copper, and about 120 gold worth of silver, and 100 gold pieces in there as well, and then a mix of different sort of semi-precious stones that have been cut and polished. Each of these stones probably worth 50 gold in its own right, and there's a couple spell scrolls in there that might be of use to a wizard, or of course you could sell. And there's also some potions of healing that clearly didn't do the former owner any good, and this chap seems not to have recognized what they were for, and could have helped himself out a bit, but didn't, and now you get the benefit of it.
Okay, I guess ask him if he can point out the direction of this cave. Maybe if we've got the time, maybe inspect it to see if he did miss anything.
Looks impressed by Dr. Glade's intimidation tactics, and looks at the treasure. What was your plan to do with the treasure? Where were you going?
I was going to spend it.
On what?
Mostly alcohol and sex workers.
Well, I think you should keep most of your treasure, but donate it to magical creature conservation. And then Dr. Galaris looks at the camera and a PSA star flies by.
Well, your compatriots may feel less charitable.
Galaris looks to Thalin, since he's the one who, killed most of the gremlins.
I'm not here to make my fortune, so there are a few useful things. Money, well, I have a little bit of gold, it's enough. That's not all about the gold. I don't know.
Dr. Glade.
Maybe we'll hang on to the scrolls and need it. So it seems
Dr. Glade, how much is your copay?
Dr. Glade explains that he has a busy general practice back in Notus that serves.
Dr. Glade.
Sorry, I was muted. Dr. Glade
I figured.
explains that he's got a very busy general practice back in Notus that serves the peasant folk, and it's very expensive to run such a business, and this treasure will go to help in many lives back in Notus. But I think we can let this gentleman keep a little bit for his hard work if he explains to me how I find the location of where
Of the
he...
cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, he just got it, and he points up the canyon side, and he says, the canyon continues and shallows out. If you just keep following it, and then double back to, about 300, 400 meters up is where I fell from, and that's where you'll find the cave. But there's nothing in there now, except some old bones.
I suggest to him, looking at his leg, that he's not going to make it off this mountain immediately. Have you got some food and water?
Yes. I that's how I've survived these past couple of days. I've been well provisioned before I left town.
So I suggest to him that we'll help him over to the little gap in where I was hiding, and if he's still there on our return, he can join us.
Yep. I appreciate that, and if you see anyone that's already on their way down, and you give a care to mention, I'll be grateful too. They can take me home.
So we'll help him over to there. Dr. Glade wants to use his scalpel and go remove some meat from the dead griffin.
Yeah, there's actually a thing for this. So, hang on.
Galaris has been waiting to suggest that we should rest as a party before seeking out the rock further.
Oh well, maybe we should set up a little camp in the canyon, little
crevice
with him.
Yeah. Where's the thingy? Where's the thingy? Thingy. Here it is. Make a nature check, Dr. Glade, to adequately butcher this griffin.
Could I I'm just wondering, could I use my medicine with proficiency? I'm pretty handy with a scalpel. I know how to cut flesh and muscle.
You can add your proficiency. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And I can roll medicine instead of nature.
No, you can still roll nature, but you can add your proficiency to nature.
Oh dear. So that gives me 9 in total.
9 is sufficient for half of the reward, which is, so you harvest some meat, which you get to cook or what have you. But you also get you excise the griffin's heart, and you've heard tales in time gone by that the heart of a griffin can be used for, it can be a useful thing. And so you now have one, and as an action, you can consume it and doing so will grant you advantage on perception checks that rely on your sight for an hour. And the only drawback of this is that because you are sort of augmented by this griffin, during this time, if you see a horse, you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, or you must use your full movement and action to approach and attack the horse. But on a success, you do no longer have to make any saving throws to prevent themselves from attacking that particular horse. So let me put that in the resources tab as well.
And I know this, you're saying, Dr.
You would have heard in
aware of these.
sort of circles of zoology and anatomy and this and that. Some, you would have heard tales of, if you eat the heart of a griffin, you can get some of your colleagues that are into this kind of thing, or perhaps have rarer tastes. You might have heard that some of them use it as an aid in their surgeries, to get perception check advantage, to be able to more keenly observe, and that would explain to you why many hospitals in Notice have a strict prohibition on horses.
And must the whole heart be eaten, or could it morsels be shared out?
It's a one-use item. If you want more, you have to kill and butcher more griffins.
Okay. Well, maybe we can prepare it, but I don't think I need to eat it right now. And I'd like to.
No, you can keep it for as long as you want.
Yeah, and I'll keep
Spend
some
your
of the
evening
flesh
sort of roasting and drying it. Yeah.
Okay. As I'll explain to my colleagues, I'm hoping that if it comes to it, some of this cooked flesh might help with fooling the goblins further that we have killed the rock. And I've brought them a taster, if need be.
Very clever, very clever. I love your deceptive yet noble ways, Dr. Glade.
As well, one needs to survive in the city of Notice.
I've heard that the claws and the feathers of the griffin might have.
Say that again.
I've heard that the claws, feathers of a griffin might have medicinal properties. So I'm going to harvest or collect, whichever is the most appropriate term, or attempt to harvest and collect some claws, the feathers for maybe future trading or bartering.
Yes. Why don't you pluck 1d10? So roll a d10, and you can pluck that many feathers from this griffin and have them as an item that you can. It doesn't necessarily have an inherent value, but you can barter with them. 10 feathers you shall have then.
I seem to have high dice rolls for everything but the 10.
Yeah, that will happen. In my other campaign, one of our players consistently gets a nat 20, but only for the recap, and then never again for the rest of the session.
Do I get a go at the claws, or is it just the feathers? The talons.
You get the feathers, but not the talons.
Okay.
Okay. You make a small camp, and you make a fire, and you share some stories with this gentleman, this unhappy gentleman who you've come across, who introduces himself by the name that he's got on his token, Pratt Burkham. And you pass the night, and you rest, and you are not plagued. It's quite cold, so you huddle around the fire, but you're not plagued by any more griffin attacks. And then in the morning, you cook a small breakfast, and Krat sends you on your way. He waves you off and hopes that you come back soon to help him, because he'll be a bit stuck there. So he says adieu, and you continue up the mountain.
Is this a full rest or a long rest?
It's a long
Short rest.
Long rest.
So that means we got all our health back.
Everyone is fully healed. All your abilities are back.
That quick reference sheet you've shared, Gentry, is brilliant.
Yes, I've got one other one I'll share with you guys. It's because I'm always losing track of what I can do, so it's been really helpful.
Another nice table, by the way, Alex.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Just something I whipped up for you. And so you continue on. You continue towards the top of this canyon, and eventually the canyon shallows, and you climb from its basin into back up onto the sort of the higher parts of the mountain. Now, Dr. Glade, do you press on? I assume you'd like to go and check out the cave with the treasure.
Yeah, I guess especially does it seem to be on the way? Are we as we're climbing higher?
No, you would have to
just
double back. So once you reach the peak of the canyon, you could then walk along its rim to find this cave. But you would have to go out of your way to do it.
Sure, I guess I better consult my friends on that. What do they think? My companions. Press on for the.
We've had an early start.
Say that again, Mike.
We've had an early start morning.
Yeah.
So maybe we have a little bit of time to
Yeah,
explore a little bit.
I think it's fine to explore the cave. I'm curious.
Okay, let's do that.
Yep, you head back down, and you can sort of see. Roughly, you recognize the topography of where you were in the canyon, which is where Krat said you could find this cave if you were up on the ridge. And you poke about, and eventually you do. You find, it takes a little while, but you do find a small cave. It's not very big, but it's sheltered. And inside you find the burnt ashes of a campfire, which you presume was probably Krat's before he departed, and some discarded, sort of cooked food, but maybe burnt bits that maybe he's not prepared so well. And then, true to his word, there's two skeletons that are piled up against the corner, and you can see old sort of dusty rags that are with them. And there doesn't appear to be anything else in this cave.
Can I inspect the skeletons, see if Dr. Glade can figure out their means of death?
Yeah, absolutely.
What kind of roll would you like for that?
Oh, that would be an investigation check, I think.
Okay. 7.
A 7. Yeah. With a 7, you can determine that they were both humans and that they are both probably dead.
I think they're dead.
I agree.
So David's going to have a look at the walls of this cave and see if he can discover any writing or any
you can make an investigation check too, Thalen.
So that's a D. Is that a D20 again?
It is a D20. Plus your investigation plus whatever that is.
Yeah.
Oh, do we still have our inspiration?
No, that was only until the end of the encounter, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay.
So 16.
16. With a 16, you probe every nook and cranny, and you do find a couple spare gold coins that have rolled into the corners, but you don't find any secret passageways or anything like that.
Okay.
And is Galaris up to anything?
Galaris is searching the sky for Arium while the other two investigate the cave.
Yep.
Is there any way of identifying any identifiable documents, or it's just a shame that these two bodies...
You find a driver's license. No, you find... you don't notice too much. I mean, these rags are pretty old. It seems like they've been up here on this mountain for at least several months. According to what Krat told you, it seemed like they were bandits that were, robbing the king. But beyond that, you wouldn't. And to that end, you find some, some daggers and things that you might expect to find on bandits, but nothing that would identify them beyond their occupation.
Okay.
What were in those scrolls? There were scrolls part of this treasure?
Spell scrolls. So one was a spell scroll.
Oh, spell scrolls. Gotcha.
Yeah, Greece, I believe, and the other one was Greece and
Aid.
Aid. That's right.
Well, I guess onwards. It's not. I guess if we need to shelter, if we don't get off this mountain again today, at least we know somewhere that we can safely shelter.
You push on and you continue to ascend. Higher and higher you go as you wend your way up the mountain. And eventually you reach this this plateau, if you will, and coming around a large craggy corner, you find yourselves face to face with an enormous bird's nest, and in it, slumbering, is the rock.
Okay. And from here, can we see any feathers loose in the nest?
You can see lots of bones and assorted carcasses of large animals. And near it, sort of in the nest, you can see all kinds. Some feathers are 40 feet long. Some of them are slightly smaller. But yeah, in the nest itself, you can see have been caught up a lot of feathers. There are some larger ones, maybe these sort of flight feathers that have been plucked out over time that are sort of lying around the ground. Maybe, wait for it, maybe here, but they're enormous. You doubt if you could carry them down the mountain.
And
Did Gluengale tell you how much feather he needed?
no, just one. I hear the chin feathers are rather small of a bird.
The feathers of the face and head would be the smallest ones.
And so this is a plateau. There's no. Are we on the top of the mountain, or is there anything?
There's more mountain sort of behind the rock. You can see that, it goes up to the summit. But you're on quite an open, airy plateau where the rock has the opportunity over here, maybe on the side, to dive straight down towards that valley. You can see thousands and thousands of feet below. You can see the Yak Valley.
And how far away are we from the cave that we've just?
You've climbed for about 90 minutes.
Okay.
Can Ariam rejoin me? Like she's.
Oh yeah. The Ariam found you while you were climbing.
Great.
Oops. Is there anything obvious to hide behind, under?
You could hide within. It's not 3D, but these animal bones you could fit almost entirely within some of the larger skulls of different creatures. And then there's these sort of rocks here, that you could crouch behind if you needed to.
Okay. Well, I'll suggest to my colleagues that perhaps we hide in that skull over there and wait for the rock to leave on its off to go hunting or whatever it does, and we'll take our opportunity then to pluck a feather from the nest.
Very good.
Does that sound okay?
Well, we don't. I think it's a bad move to bother the rock. So yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
So
Yeah, I think that's a mistake most people only make once.
Although coming back to your earlier point, presumably the rock has more than one component.
Yes, this particular rock, or rather, the rocks in general, could take more than one 14-inch shell.
Yeah.
eats them for breakfast.
Exactly.
So
And
let's go hide in a skull.
yep, you all you go hide over here, I suppose. There you go. There's a skull. You hide in a skull, and eventually, this thing's too big for me to move around the table, but eventually the rock sort of wakes, and you can see it get up, and it flaps its great wings, and this huge wind is sort of kicking up rocks and dust and skulls. And then it hops with earth-shattering thuds, thud, 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 over to the side of the cliff, and then it lets out a mighty shriek and dives for its breakfast, leaving behind an enormous egg.
I guess I turn to Galaris and say, can you send your bird up into the sky and can it warn us when the rock returns?
Galaris clicks at Arium and she flies to the edge of the nest and keeps watch.
Excellent.
What kind of what mechanism, Alex, would be good for? I know Arium's perception to see if let us know when.
Let's
rock
say
comes back.
we're not in combat, so we can just. It's not really any strict rule. She can just shriek when
Okay.
she sees the rock coming. She can just sort of orbit over you and then let out a cry if she sees the bird is on its way back.
Okay.
I will tell you when that happens.
Great. Galaris is fangirling at the rock and the egg.
The egg, it should be noted, is 20 feet tall.
And he bursts out of the skull and runs to it and lays his face on it. And
It's
he's
very
so
warm.
excited. It's very warm. And a little wet.
And a bit, yeah, well, no, it's only from his tears.
Dr. Glade will join you. Oh, I've sunk down into the...
It's a nest, It's
Yeah.
it's made of twigs and in this case, it's made of mostly felled trees. But
and I
Can you
guess...
take a screenshot for me?
yes,
Yeah.
one moment, please.
Oh.
I-
I'm streaming on YouTube. If you want to, you can watch the stream.
My internet won't.
All right.
I'm only on my phone, so I can't have voice and stream. No.
I can get a better angle on that. There we go. That's decent. A little cinematic. Why not?
And I guess Dr. Glade will grab a feather that's manageable.
Yeah, absolutely. You sift through this nest, and you grab a feather which it's about the size and shape of a sword. So it fits nicely in your hand, and you could tuck it into a sheath or strap it to your back and carry it with ease.
I'll tell my colleagues, look, this mission is more important than me. If anything happens to me, I think all three of us should take a feather. So I encourage them to find one to carry as well.
Yeah.
Galaris picks up 3.
Yeah, you get instead of sword-shaped ones, you get some of the ones from around the eye, which are more shield-sized. So you've got 3 that you could just as easily lash together and strap together, and you could wear it on your back like a shield, and carry it quite conveniently. And Thalen, you go and you pick up one which is one of the downy ones. So it's like a great big blanket. And because it's so soft and malleable, this downy feather, you can sort of fold it up and put it in your...
I guess we better get out of here.
Grill. You hear a shriek from Orium saying that the bird is on its way back, and so you beat a hasty retreat. You're making your way back down the mountain now. The rock, unaware of your theft, not that it would notice, considering how many feathers it makes. And you descend down the mountain. You can hear a crack and a rumble, and on the horizon you can see that a storm is approaching fast.
Oh.
You're within distance of this cave of yours. You could probably try and get there before the storm hits, but you are conscious that doing so might resign Krat to an unseemly fate.
Oh, well, what do we think? I mean, mountain storms can be very dangerous. We don't want to be. We're above the tree line, I presume. So if there's lightning, it's very good. There's a chance it could strike us.
Galaris looks out at the storm and is trying to use his ranger skills to determine how bad the storm is going to be.
Sure. What does that? Is that a mechanic, or are we sort of making this one up?
I'm finding out if it's a mechanic. Give me one.
Brilliant.
What kind of terrain are we on right now?
Mountainous? Rocky? I don't know. We could throw around a few different kinds.
You would not consider it foresty.
I would not consider it foresty in the slightest.
Damn. But that's my favorite terrain, and I could have.
Yeah, I know.
Can I do a nature check to estimate how long we've got until the
Yeah,
rain gets
absolutely.
to us? A 3.
You try and do that thing where you hear the thunder and then you wait for or you see the lightning and then you wait for the thunder, except you count wrong and you listen to the echo instead of the storm, and so you're looking at it and you can tell the storm it's approaching fast, but by your math it's either on top of you or 100 miles away. You're not quite sure.
Mm-hmm. And I relay that to my compatriots, and kind of shrug.
It's either already raining or it's 100 miles away.
I think we need to retreat to the cave. I feel terrible for
that man
for Krat. Krat. I remember his name. I remember all my patients' names. I feel terrible for Krat. Bumcum. Burcum, whatever he was called.
You remember the first names?
Yes.
Yeah, you head into you dash to the cave, and you make it just as the rain begins to pitter patter down, and it rains all night, and you're trapped within this cave for another night, and you make a fire with your skeleton friends, not of them but near them, and you pass the time, and in the morning the storm is cleared, but it was a wicked one, thunder and lashings of rain all night long. And you emerge, and the air is clear now because it's the rain has washed away any of its particulates in the air, and so you have a beautiful view over the valley, not the valley that Notice sits in. You can see the glinting white marble of the royal palace all the way from your mountaintop, this big complex sitting in the center of the city. Sort of the biggest thing that you could really see in the city.
Makes me slightly homesick.
Yeah.
And wonder how Igor's getting on back at the practice and looking after his leeches.
And you head down further. You do retrace your steps through the canyon, but unfortunately, you can tell that in the night, because it was in this gully, there's been a flash flood that's swept through, and there's no trace of Krat.
Oh, Krat. Drat. Krat. Okay. I was hoping to ask him if there was a way to get off the mountain avoiding the goblins.
Well, Orium was tasked to look for
Oh,
different ways.
yes,
up the mountain.
yes.
So Gentry Galaris may well have discussed this at some point.
Yeah, like, is there some kind of check I should make to find out if Arium collected information?
Well, how would you extract this information from your bird? Or you could cast Speak with Animals again and talk to the bird, or you could do something else. I'm not sure.
I ask her to do a little, like one of her little dances to tell me what direction to go.
She looks at you and dances sort of down the other way from where you came. So instead of heading back down towards the winding trail where you encountered the goblins, if you went the other way, if you went left instead of right, we can say, you would find a thin goat trail that could lead you to that yak road, but on the other side of the mountain. So there is another way down. If you look over here at the map of, can I ping? There we go. If you look over here at the map of Skenesaw, then you came up with your ship. You came up this side here, sort of from Goldcrest up this way, right? You flew up, so you were onto this side of the mountain. You could descend, but you'd end up over here. I don't know if that's instructive at all.
Galaris explains that what part of the mountain we'll end up on.
You'll end up on the eastern side of the mountain. So you came up the western side. Your skyship with Hollis is parked on the western side, but you would descend if you wanted to get down with and avoid the goblins. You would come down on the eastern side, which is decidedly less populated. You can just see on the map. There's not as many roads or towns on that side. So that's less of a problem when you have a skyship, but your skyship is also on the other side of the mountain. So 6 of one, half a dozen the other, really.
I'm not sure I can talk my way out of the goblins' stronghold again.
And we have this new gold. We could just buy a carriage or horses to get back to the airship. Save us the grief. And maybe we'll meet a goat on the way down. Because there's a goat trail.
So is that agreed? We're going to go down the east side rather than the west side?
West side?
The east side?
Yeah, let's do it.
In it.
In it, bruv. You descend. You follow Orium's advice, and you descend down a narrow goat trail. And indeed, Gentry, you do find some mountain goats, a small herd of them.
What are they doing?
You point and you say, "Goats." They're grazing.
And Galaris walks over and kneels down and hugs one and sheds a tear for Ankh and his missing him and hoping that his goat kingdom is doing well. And can I milk the goat?
This is a male goat, so you can, but you might not like what comes out.
Have you seen the film Kingpin?
No.
It's such a good film. You need to look that up. It's got Bill Murray in it. It's a bowling film, and Woody Harrelson takes on a Hamish guy under his wing and takes him on a tour of this bowling competition. But they stay at a farm, and Woody Harrelson comes out of the shed and says, I've spent it took me all night to milk the cow, but I did it in the end." And he takes a big gulp of this bucket full of milk, and the farmers go, "We ain't got a cow, we got a bull." You're missing out. It's one of my favourite comedies. It's brilliant. Kingpin.
Fantastic. You descend past the goat herd, and you make your way into this sort of area here. and you. Does that work? Oh, kind of. Not really. This is terrible. Anyway, you. Oh, wait. Why am I doing it this way when I can do it? No, not that one. This way.
Oh, I've seen the poster for this.
Yes. So you descend. Come on. You come down this way, and you end up sort of over here. And your airship is over here. Down there, apparently. There you go.
So let's have a look at the map. Oh, it's quite a long way around if we were. Are these
There's a
borders?
town right near.
These grey lines.
Purplish, grayish borders, yeah.
They're okay. They're territories.
They're just like provinces, local, it's all one country under the control of the king, but they're like different counties, if you will.
And yeah, so it's quite the, without having to go back up the mountain again, it's quite the journey round, but I guess we'll have to do that. Can we, as we were travelling down, were there any signs of smoke, any signs of villages that we
Yeah, you
get
see this
vision?
village of Tyr on the horizon. From as you sort of descend the mountain, you can see as it began to get dark. It takes a better part of the day to get there. So as the light fades, you can see the fires in the distance, and you arrive in Tyr and wander into the inn there, the tavern that every self-respecting village has. And it's very small, sort of old man pub. There's a couple locals and a weathered old bartender there, and they look surprised to see you.
Does anybody want to say hello?
We don't
Well,
get many visitors around here.
Well, we are visitors, but not for very long. We need a carriage or horses. Please.
Sure, if it's horses you're wanting, there's you could just buy them off someone here in town, I suppose, if you're moving through.
Do you have a favorite horse dealer in the village?
There's a livestock trader just down on the main street. He's and he looks over at one of the locals who's passed out on the table, temporarily incapacitated, but he'll be back with you in the morning if you are fixing to stay the night.
Galaris looks back to Dr. Glade and Fallon.
I guess I'll explain to the proprietor the where we need to get to and what his suggestion would be. The best route to get
now
back.
I'm no adventuring sort, I just run a humble bar, but I have heard of people that have gone over the goat trails in the mountains before. That could be mighty quick.
Yes, I hear there's a hungry bunch of goblins living up there.
Oh yes, I have heard that too. I have. Barring that, you could try and catch an airship if you wanted to head all the way down to maybe Herat or one of the bigger towns down that way. See if you could hire a regular service, maybe take you where you need to get, or you could charter something if you wanted to hire them on private. But that's obviously going to probably cost you a pretty penny. Otherwise, you could take the long way around. Moving on the King's roads doesn't take too long, but the main road goes sort of the wrong direction. You'd have to go back through Notice to come all the way here, and he's sort of showing you on the map. Tyr's a hard place to get to. This is why we don't get many visitors. You could go the other way. Have you been to Leidenford?
I think I have, haven't I? That rings a bell.
That's where you went on a fish hunt.
Yes. The big fish in that part, I recall.
Indeed. Well, it's a lovely town. As you could instead of going around the other way through Notice, you could head back that way. The roads are a little smaller, as you'll know from when you went. But if you go through around the lake and then follow the coastal road through Dardham and Leidenford, you could get back up to the mountains in a relatively short time. There is a seasonal road that you could take that goes to Helmfirth on the other side, and that could be short, but it's closed in the winter for the snows and coming up upon that time. So you've got some options. Up to you, really.
And then you mentioned airships. Is there one in town at the moment, or is it Herat that we would need to try and?
Not here. We don't get many airships just because we're so small. We get most of our stuff brought to us by horse-drawn carriage. Next town down's a little bit bigger in Marshway. Someone might have one there, even if it's only a little skiff that they use for crop dusting or what have you. But Herat is the big town. It's the capital of this county, and so they'll definitely have a skyport and everything you could want.
So maybe I'll suggest to my companions to stay in the night here. Try for an airship at Marshway. Because we need to get back to Hollis as soon as possible.
That's the fastest route.
Sure. You spend the night with at the inn, and you all spend 3 copper pieces each for the privilege. It's a simple folks there. And then in the next morning, you thank the bartender. You have a simple breakfast. Thank the bartender. You go and you see the horse trader, who's got a bit of a sore head, and he's are you buying or are you selling, or are you buying or are you renting? What can we do you for?
What was the name of the town down the road? Sorry, Alex.
It was Marshway, I believe.
Marshway. We'd be interested in renting. We need to get to Marshway. But a one-way trip. Do you have a colleague we could leave the horses with there?
Yes, we don't have an outlet or anything down that way, just because we're only small. But I do know some people in Marshway. It's the next town along. I could give you the name of someone you could leave the horses with, and then you could come on back. Next time I'm in town, you could tend to him, and I could bring him back. That's no problem.
Worst case scenario, we may need to continue to the Herat if we can't conclude our business in Marshway. Again, is that a possibility?
It is. It'd be a bit more, obviously, for the time and the inconvenience, because we need to bring the horses all the way back, or I'd sell them on to someone down there. I tell you what, though, you might actually be able to do me a favor. If you do end up riding them all the way to Herat, I'll give you a letter that you could deliver. If it doesn't make it, I'll send it myself again in a couple of weeks. But it's just for some goods. So if you end up making it down the way, I can cut you a discount.
Of course. Carrying a letter would be no problem at all.
Great. Well, I tell you what, to rent we'll start with Marshway, and we'll see what we need to do. If you head on down I'll get you saddled up with the horses and whatnot. And to get them to Marshway, what we can do is if you discuss here's a quick, he writes out a note with explaining the details of your arrangement. And he says, you go give this to Buck. Buck is, he's a livestock dealer down in Marshway. Nice guy. You can't miss it. Big lot. Huge bunch of horses. Talk to Buck, and he'll get you all fixed up. And if you end up moving on, then he'll get word to me the next time he sends someone up here. And I'll know you went on to Herat and delivered the letter. I won't send mine. And then what we can do is you can settle up with my contact in Herat. He can send me the money whenever. From here to Marshway, though, you can pay up front, and that'll be 10 gold pieces each.
And Alex, is that reasonable for, I guess Dr. Glade would have some kind of knowledge.
You would normally spend about 75 gold pieces to buy a horse. So 10 gold pieces for the use of it for a few days. And they seem to be good, they show you the horses. They seem to be good quality horses. It's not bargain basement prices, but you don't feel like you're getting ripped off. Also, you're in a bit of a pickle, but you can tell he's not trying to take too much advantage of that.
Okay. And I ask him, and would you like me to hand over the letter to Buck in Marshway if we don't continue from there?
No. If you make it to Marshway and you head on your merry way, you can just dispose of the letter. It's just for the guy in Hayrod.
Okay. Okay. If everyone else is happy with that deal.
Great.
Yeah.
Great news. Well, we'll get you all fixed up and on your merry way. And he does. He's true to his word. He gets you all fixed up. They're nice horses. You can pick your colors. And you head out onto the main road. And I think that might be where I draw a line underneath it tonight. Just because I don't have anything planned for Marshway.
Okie dokie. That was fun.
Okay.
Lot gone. I feel like I've done loads tonight.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a chock-a-block one.
What does that mean?
Chock-a-block, full of stuff. Rammed full of fun content in this particular context.
Chock-a-block.
Oh.
Chocka.
Chocka.
You will often
Excellent.
hear that gentry people will say in the UK, if they're very, very busy or if their diary is full, their schedule is full, then they'll say that they're chocka.
Chock-a-block.
Oh, I've heard chock full of.
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, it's actually the same. Chocked full of, then was just sort of, made amusingly to rhyme into chock-a-block, right?
Wait. What's more amusing than rhyme?
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone likes to rhyme. So, we shall pick back up next Sunday.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Gentry.
Always.
Yeah, thank you guys
Thanks,
soon.
all.